Welcome back to the Sports Trigger, everyone. Today we are talking NFL injuries. Travis, are you hurt today? Are you hurt?
I'm aching. Ouch.
All right. That was kind of a weak start, but we'll do it. We'll do it. What's up, everyone? Travis, NFL injuries, got OBJ out now. Actually, the whole Giants team is just booking it for the year end. You got Brandon Marshall out for the year as well. Then you got J.J. Watt out for the year. There's a few others sprinkled in there I'm sure that I'm missing as well. What's your feeling on NFL injuries? Because it's, obviously you have the argument with people saying, it's my fantasy team being affected, and other people are just mad that their team might not be that fun to watch anymore. So what's your take?
I think that you definitely hit the nail on the head. I think the first thing with how big fantasy is these days, especially, people are like, oh no, my fantasy team, now I have to scramble, do this to that, and get pissed, which obviously, fantasy is huge. A lot of people actually put money down on fantasy teams, and that is, a big proponent of basically what they do throughout the week because of how in tune you have to be. But at the same time, I think people have lost perspective on these are actual people. We're not playing a video game here, folks. These are actual people just like us. They're professional athletes. This is their job. And I don't think people realize, or at least they lose track of, these are people hurling their bodies at each other. These are huge people.
Wait a second. Before you go too far in this, let's be honest here. If they were any of one of those players were on your fantasy squad, you'd be mad right now.
I would be irritated. I wouldn't be mad. There's a difference. And none of them are on my squad, just to get that out of the way,
you don't
thankfully.
Even need to make that argument. Yeah. So
I've been knocking on wood after OBJ, Brandon Marshall, JJ have all been out. So, and obviously David Johnson's been out as well. So,
Dalvin Cook.
I would be irritated. There's no doubt about that. But, at the same time, it's something that you have to deal with. And, I don't know. It's tough. There's so many different views when it comes to NFL injuries because especially as a fan, if you take away the fantasy perspective, just being a fan of a team in general, it doesn't take away from you loving and enjoying your team, but it definitely takes away from, oh crap, we're gonna suck or we're gonna suck more, or, whether you want to watch a full game or not, if a star is out. Like the Giants, they were crappy the first couple weeks of the season, and that's putting it lightly. Now that OBJ's out,
and
Brandon Marshall, then Dwayne Harris and other wide receivers out. How many people are really going to want to watch them now, especially being 0-5, unless they want to make sure that they tank so they can get a top prospect?
I would almost put the Giants on the level of the Browns.
Yes.
And maybe even the Colts. The Colts are pretty bad this year. The 49ers are bad. But the one thing that keeps it going is everybody loves to see the odd face of Eli Manning. Like, everybody is, I think, enamored with Eli Manning. Right. Just the way his face looks. Like, half the time that you watch it, you literally think that there's just something wrong with him.
There's just something about his face.
And somehow that guy has a few Super Bowls against the great Tom Brady. So that's the only thing the Giants have going for them is just that face right there, Eli Manning. So congrats, Eli. You're the full pull to the Giants right now. So that's quite the accomplishment. When they used to have Jared Lorenzen as the backup, that was another pull because it's not often you get to see a quarterback that looks like a lineman out there.
Yes.
So I missed that. If they brought him back, that maybe that would be some hope. Maybe a little hope like the boy Trubisky brought in for the Bears, a little bit the other day. And speaking of which, seeing the Vikings without Dalvin Cook now, what do you think? Running game was so-so. Murray didn't look terrible, but he's still not 100% healthy either, which a lot of people don't talk about. They just assume, hey, we picked him up in the off season, he's good to go. He's come out and said that he's not 100%. And without Cook there, I think that's a major hit because he's shifty, he can block, which is really rare for a rookie coming in. So what's your feelings on the Vikings there?
Yeah, their defense is always going to be there. I think that's for sure. You have your staples there. You have Harrison Smith. You have Xavier Rhodes. You have Barr at linebacker. They have a good defensive line. You know what? The Vikings offensive line surprised me a little bit last night. They were better than expected. They're not great by any means, but McKinnon ended up having a pretty nice game. I believe he had just under 100 rush yards, and he had about 50 or 60 receiving yards. So, he did a lot better than I expected as well. So, and credit Case Keenum for coming in and bringing the Vikes back because, oh my gosh, I mean, it was very shaky quarterback play before he got in there. And I mean, Bradford's been out for a little bit, and granted, after that first week, I think expectations were high going into last night, but I think he needs a little bit more time. But Vikings offensive line definitely a lot better than what I expected last night. And, I mean, the Bears defense isn't terrible, so.
No, it's actually a pretty good defense.
Yeah.
A lot of people kind of lost sight of that just because the Bears haven't really been winning. And then obviously they beat Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh hasn't looked that great, so everybody's just like, they're, the Bears are the Bears, but, yeah, Vikings offensive line, it hasn't been spectacular, but compared to last year, it has been. And that's what they needed. They just needed somebody to be able to keep the quarterback clean for a second, be able to run a little bit to support that great defense. And so now that they're getting it, I mean, they're going to be a dangerous team this year. Casey Keenum, obviously, without him last night, they probably would have lost.
Easily. Yeah.
It would have been a loss. Bradford looks like absolute garbage. So injuries obviously taking their tolls. To be honest, I don't think Houston with J.J. Watt's going to be as big of a deal just because they've played without him for so long in the past that they're used to at least scheming without him. Now, obviously, it makes a big deal on, taking that huge of a talent off the field, but you're talking about, this is normal. It's normal for J.J. Watt to get hurt. As bad as that sounds, it just is. And, when your team's used to playing with that, kind of like, even over at the Patriots, they lost, what's his face? Edelman, right?
Right.
The Patriots are used to plugging in another guy. It's just the norm. And when you're a team or a franchise like that, then it gives you a little bit of an up compared to a team that relies so heavily on one guy that when he's out, your team just falls apart. So.
Yeah, and you know what? Another thing with what happened today as far as Adrian Peterson officially going to the Cardinals, obviously David Johnson's been lost for part of the year. He's expected to come up, I believe midseason, a little bit after midseason. Do you think that makes up, obviously doesn't make up fully, but do you think makes up enough of a gap to where the Cards can contend, if not lead that division come the time that David Johnson comes back?
No, and to be honest, their offensive line's bad. Their offensive line has been really bad, and, Adrian Peterson's not going to make a whole bunch of guys miss at this age. So, unless you have David Johnson back there who's capable of doing that or catching out of the backfield and making big plays out of nothing, I don't think it's really going to help. And Adrian Peterson's looked terrible so far. So, and he was doing that on a team that can spread you out. So, if he can't run against that, then what's he going to do when everybody's able to load up on the box on him?
Well, two things I will say about that is I do know that the Cardinals offensive line has been shuffled, and I know that they've had a couple people on IR, so that's part of the reason for their poor offensive line play. But then I will say that I think AP fits a lot better in the Cardinal system, being under the I formation, or I should say under center, versus, where New Orleans, where they spread it out a lot more.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
I do think he'll get the ball. I think he'll get, no,
I think you have high hopes. That's what you're saying.
He's going to get the ball more.
How many yards?
He's going to be more productive. How many yards a game?
Yeah, what's productive for him over there?
I'd say 60 plus yards would be productive.
60 plus yards he'll get?
Yeah, I think he'll get 60 plus.
Jeez. I don't think he's even going to touch 50.
I think they'll give him the ball between 15 and 20 times a game, and then he should easily get 60 yards, yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you're saying he's going to average around 4 yards a carry? A little over 4 yards.
No, not 4 yards a carry. Not if he touches it.
Well,
not if he
20 times. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. He's not even going to touch 50, I don't think.
I don't know.
But
are you saying
see.
are you saying on average, or are you saying at all?
On average, he might
Okay.
every once in a while. I had any running back can. I mean, Frank Gore still has games where he touches 90 yards every once in a while.
Right.
And he has no knees, so I think Adrian's in a little better shape than Frank Gore, but Frank Gore just turns out yards. So
I think that AP book this. I feel that AP is going to average more total yards than Frank Gore throughout the rest of the season. That's my prediction.
What, that might be close. I think we need to mark that down and keep track of that because gosh, that could actually be really close.
Go ahead and start this weekend. I don't care if he knows the playbook or not. Go ahead and start this weekend.
Yeah, we're gonna start this weekend, and we'll keep track of that. But with that being said, guys, thanks a lot for joining us on another episode of the Sports Trigger, and until next time.